Welcome to another episode of The Dissection. Fikile Mbalula gave some remarks that basically sounded as a threat to none other than Panyaza Lesufi. He gave remarks that I thought would be worth revisiting because they showed where he is in terms of state of mind about the leadership race in the ANC for the 2027 Congress. And also it showed me, and I think you'll see the same, that he's bothered by the prominence and popularity of Panyaza Lesufi in the online discourse and also in the party. Listen to what Fikile Mbalula had to say and think about who he's talking about. Here's the clip.
To those who said that we're going around preaching as though things won't happen, preaching as though things won't happen. Even within our ranks, there are people who are just on top of their voices. Bela Act must be implemented. There is leadership here in this country, led by Ramaphosa of the ANC. Why will others speak on the sideways as though there is doubt about leadership, that it won't be provided? It is wrong. It is populist. It is populist. And we will act against populism in the ranks of the ANC. We will. We're observing it. It is not plurality of ideas, intellectualism, dissent, genuine. It is populism. Why will any leader of the ANC not have confidence that matters of this nature are being handled and driven at a political level by the leadership of the ANC? When the president decided on this matter, leadership was provided, structures were briefed. Why now do we have to go on the sidelines that this must, as though there is doubt that the leadership will renege on the program of the National Democratic Revolution? Our mandate is very clear in this government, is to advance the NDR.
Well, the first thing I want to say about this clip is that he was sneak dissing Panyaza Lesufi. This is sneak dissing. It's like subtweeting on X or Twitter. I mean, why doesn't he come for him directly? Why is he coming through the corners? You know that one clip where they're like, don't come for me through the corners. If you want me, come for me directly. Why is he coming for Panyaza through the corners? For me, this shows me that he views Panyaza as a threat and is trying to find ways to push him to the sidelines within the ANC proper, to try to portray him as a divisive figure, as somebody who is driven by personal ambition, and to try to maybe put a splinter between him and the president, because the president was taking pictures with Panyaza. The president has been quite close with Panyaza and seems in some ways very happy with the performance of Panyaza Lesufi. So for Mbalula to say what he's saying, to me, sounds like, it's a tactic, but he's sneak dissing because we all know that Panyaza Lesufi is the one who was advocating for the implementation of the Bela Act and all of the provisions of the Bela Act. He spoke at several events that the president must sign the Bela Act as it is. There must be no further delays. He's spoken against AfriForum, Solidarity, DA, and any amendments to the Bela Act by him were viewed as hostile, as unprogressive. I mean, this is what he was saying at the South African Communist Party event. Panyaza was saying this with his own mouth. So why can't Fikile Mbalula say, who are you coming for? Dial direct. Don't come through the corners. I don't know, guys. Listen to what Panyaza said and tell me, Fikile Mbalula doesn't know who was saying this stuff. Why is he subtweeting? Why is he not call him by name? This is what Panyaza said. In case you forgot, Mr. Mbalula, this is what he said.
The South African Democratic Teachers Union has already taken a decision to write to our president in no uncertain terms, urging our president to do one thing and one thing only. Allow Bela Act to kick in without any further delay.
He's not
We urge this conference to add its voice. We urge this special conference to be on the side of our children, to add your voice as the South African Communist Party. You'll bring an end to discrimination to our children and the indignity of our children. Never and never again will our children be decided whether they enter his school premises or not on the basis of the color of their skin or the language that they speak. So the agenda of Bela Bill or Bela Act, if it fails, comrades, there is no way that the agenda of NHI will succeed.
That guy looks like
because they
Panyaza
get
Lesufi.
tested blood that they can push
Fikile
up
Mbalula
there.
doesn't know how to do stuff.
So this is the period, comrade,
This is Panyaza.
where we need to stand firm together. This is the period, for the sake of our children in our country, betrayal is not an option. This is the period, comrades, where cowards must step aside. We, the brave, will go forward. Periods like this want us to strengthen our forces. Periods like this want a very strong and agile alliance. Comrades, we are not children of cowards. We are children of stalwarts like Harry Gwala, Nelson Mandela, Oliver Tambo, Albertina Sisulu, Helen Joseph, Joe Slovo, and many other comrades. If you touch us, smash soups. Thank you so much.
So Fikile Mbalula was acting like he doesn't know who said these words and, you know, where to send this particular message to directly. I mean, this could have been an email, really, if he wanted it to just be the information that is privy to Panyaza. But he wanted the whole of South Africa, the whole of Africa, and the whole world to know that he is going to challenge Panyaza and he is going to find ways to try to deal with him. He is wrong, though, Mr. Mbalula, on that. There were no grounds to raise this issue because there's leadership. No, there's leadership. Why are you talking like there's no leadership? Firstly, as a member of a political party, you still have to lobby. You still have to show that there's support for your view in the party and also on the ground. Also, the president did give reason for doubt. If you're looking at this as somebody who's on the progressive side, on the left side of the ANC, you're looking at this and you're saying the president already gave AfriForum and DA confidence and arrogance by delaying the provisions by 3 months, by saying to them, after they sent him WhatsApp messages, that, listen, let's see what we can do. Let's see where we can accommodate you guys. If I'm on the left of the party and I'm thinking, this is our party position, this is what we want, this is what is good for inclusion in our schools. If I see the president then now giving a back door to another political party and to organizations that don't support our party program or agenda, I am going to be cautious. I'm going to feel like I need to actually speak out and speak about this particular issue, right? If I look and I see the minister who's in charge of basic education undermining my president, my leader, by not attending the signing of the act, right, and not see her reshuffled, and also see, you know, the leader of the opposition party within the coalition going to the Futraka Monument, marching with AfriForum, marching with Solidarity, having very, very aggressive language about how they will walk away from the coalition. And I see all of these things. I may feel that there's actually need for me to lobby. There's need for me to speak within my party to actually produce content and thought leadership on this issue, on this particular debate, which is what Panyaza Lesufi did. I don't think that he was wrong to do so because there's leadership. I think he was right to do so because leadership needs to think and weigh and see what the different views, even internally within the organization, are. It very clearly worked because even though President Ramaphosa delayed and dithered and actually was trying to find ways to diffuse this issue. Did you see that? Delay, dither, diffuse, right? So even though he did all of those things, he still eventually went with the argument of continuing with all of the provisions of the act as they were signed in September. So there was a reason for this argumentation to happen within the ANC. I don't think it's reasonable to say, no, you can't argue, you can't go to other forums and speak and have a view even within the party because, you know, there's leadership, leadership will lead. No, I don't think that's appropriate. In fact, that is probably what dictatorships do, right? Dictatorships are the ones where they say, shh, just watch leadership, support leadership. So that's a third thing I wanted to say. There's a point that I want to bring up here, and I wonder what you think about this. Fikile Mbalula is being hypocritical, isn't he? Think about it. He says Panyaza Lesufi is being populist, but he himself is someone who is a fan of being populist and often chooses populism as a political strategy of engagement and also a political strategy of talking about his political rivals outside of the ANC and even within the ANC. Think about this, right? Fikile Mbalula's social media behavior over the years has been that of a populist. He has participated in populist discourse, gone to celebrity events, even called himself razzmatazz at some point to connect with the youth. These are populist actions. In fact, every politician needs to be populist to a degree. How are you going to win elections? Politics is not a game of pure argumentation where we go and we read the manifestos and then we get some judges to come in and say, evaluate these manifestos, check the references, check the footnotes, check the citations, tell us who's the best, and then that is who will govern. No, you need to convince people, you need to convince the masses, and you therefore need to be populist in how you do so. The politicians who walk around saying, no, I'm not populist, hey, I refuse populism, those politicians never govern. They become sometimes vanguards within parliaments around the world. There's this guy called Rory something. I can't remember his name. He challenged Boris Johnson within the Conservative Party. He lost. And then he was walking around saying, no, Boris Johnson is a populist. Boris Johnson is a populist. Boris Johnson went on to have the biggest electoral victory that the Conservatives had in a very long period of time. Obviously, they lost that, but you need populism to win elections. Panyaza understands this, so does Mbalula. Mbalula himself has participated in 2 marches in the last 2 months, right? On the 29th of November, he attended the ANC Women's League March to the Union Buildings. On the 11th of October, he attended the ANC Youth League March to the JSC. These marches that Mbalula attended, let's be very clear, were populist in nature because the ANC has all the levers of power that they need to change these issues. If they want to increase policing, they can do so. If they want to regulate JSC companies in a variety of ways, they can do so. They don't need to march to govern. They don't need to let the public know and go to the media and all of these things to actually change these problems if they have an issue with them. Let's be clear. Marching when you're in government is like me singing struggle songs to change the channel on my TV or to switch off the lights in my bedroom. Imagine me there. It's evening time. I want to sleep now. Then I break into song. Oliver Tambo, Bambi Sandla Sam. Oliver Tambo, Bambi Sandla Sam. Oliver Tambo, Tri. Mala Malais. Oliver Tambo, Tri. Maletele. Ikri munga yege. Tri. Maletele vi. Oliver Tambo. Cima le television, Oliver Tambo, cima le television, Oliver Tambo, cima le television. Amanda! I can't do that, guys. If I want to switch off the TV, I have to get the remote and switch it off. I have the power. I cannot go onto social media, go onto TV to tell you guys that I've got a problem, that the TV is still on and I want to go to sleep, or that the lights are still on and I want to go to sleep. It's well within my power to change any of those things without making any announcement, without making any popular announcement. I don't have to go to TikTok. You get what I'm trying to say. For him to participate in these events and to organize these events was him trying to show the markets, the donors, the movers and shakers, the investors that he also has popular support within the ANC. He also is somebody who has played a populist game and continues to play a populist game. That's something that we have to be honest about. But I want to say something about something that he's done that is correct, or argued that is correct. Fikile Mbalula is right that there are populist approaches to politics that Panyaza Lesufi is playing. He's right about that. Let's think about the 5 different populist things that Panyaza Lesufi has been doing and is doing. So 1, fighting AfriForum. This gives him an enemy which he can claim to be fighting to continue unraveling the apartheid systems and the apartheid infrastructure. So this gives him a social justice credential. It's a populist social justice credential, right? Because he can fight all of these fights as well, Panyaza, without the confrontation, provocation of AfriForum. But it helps him to fight this group that oftentimes has very problematic views within Black South Africa and say, I, Panyaza Lesufi, am the one with the courage, the conviction, the gumption to fight this organization on your behalf, and I will beat them. So that's a populist play that Panyaza is playing, right? Number two, he's the one who's been resisting the GNU formations, right, with the DA. He frustrated the Democratic Alliance to the point that there are no DA members within the provincial cabinet. And he was also part of the removal of the mayor of Tshwane, right, as the leader of the ANC in Gauteng. He can claim that as well. So this gives him credentials on the left where he can go to the left, the older guys, the Communist Party, the older ANC voters and say, Mina Panyaza nyalwa. He can do that, and he is doing that, right? And this is something that has also been popular with the online demographic on Twitter, etc., etc. This is not like teenagers and 20-year-olds, but on Twitter you'll find that the average age of Twitter actually goes from 25 all the way up to 45. So the average is about 30. Actually, average age is about 30. So he's popular with that demographic for resisting the GNU formations. Then also he is popular and choosing populist strategies in this fight of the spaza shops and the closing of spaza shops. This gives him a narrative that he is dealing with immigration, something which frustrates people within the townships, within the CBD, because they are the ones who actually are at the coalface of the immigration crisis. It's not something that you would experience often in the suburbs, etc. But if you are using public hospitals, if you live in the townships, if you live and work in the CBD, that's where, especially in Johannesburg and Pretoria, that's where this immigration issue comes to the fore, right, in a variety of ways. And so by closing the spaza shops, this gives him the narrative that I'm the one dealing with immigration, I'm the one who's dealing with your concerns. It basically gives him the Abahambe credentials that Gayton Mackenzie chases so much as well. And that's populism. And it's populism which has got an electoral support on the ground to a degree, right? Then you look at the community wardens narrative. This gives him a populist, very highly visible narrative that he's the one fighting crimes in the communities, in the townships, in the informal settlements, right? Nancy Spani, as the fifth one, gives him the narrative that he's the one that is creating employment in Gauteng, in the townships, for people who've been excluded. Those are all populist things. Panyaza Lesufi is being populist. Fikile Mbalula is right about that. But what he needs to do is to show why that populism is wrong, which he has not done. Some of these things is just good politics. It's good politics. Panyaza Lesufi has the view that the ANC can't continue to accept decline, that the ANC has to play for the win. The ANC has to play for 50% or more. As somebody who is within the ANC, how can you not respect that? How can you have a different strategy? This idea that you're going to govern through GNU is a loser's mentality, if you think about it, right? Every coach, every performer has to go into the game playing for the win. You only play for the draw when you concede defeat, right? In chess, when I'm losing, I play for the draw because the draw is a better outcome than a loss. But when the game starts, every time I play for the win. You can't play for the draw. GNU is not a win. Coalition is not a win. If the ANC once had 67% and I'm a member of the ANC, I'm supposed to aim and aspire for 67%. I can't aspire for less. That doesn't make any sense. So as the year ends, I want to ask you a question. I wonder what you think about this. Who do you think has the upper hand in terms of the race for 2027? Because the way things look to me, it looks as if the upper hand actually goes to the Premier of Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi. Why do I say this? Because he's the one who can claim to have beat the Democratic Alliance 3 times. He's 3-0 against the Democratic Alliance. First, he outsmarted the DA when it came to the government of provincial unity. He was able to circumvent Helen Zille, she was frustrated, she was going on podcasts, she was doing all of these things, but he was able to get his own cabinet without any members of the Democratic Alliance, 1-0. Then came the issue of the mayor of Tshwane. There, as the Gauteng ANC chairperson, he can claim a victory because they removed the former mayor of Tshwane, Celia's Brink, and now they got another mayor. They supported Action SA. Even that mayor now can claim victories, right? Nasipa Moya, because she's actually said, Water has been delivered to Hammanskraal, something which hadn't happened in 3 years. So that's an improvement in service delivery over what the Democratic Alliance did. And people in Hammanskraal are going to be happy. So that's 2-0. You removed a DA mayor. So in Johannesburg, there's an ANC mayor. In Tshwane, there's an ANC coalition supported mayor. Even though it's an Action SA mayor, DA is out. So the influence and prominence of the Democratic Alliance has diminished in Gauteng as a result of the direct actions and interventions of Panyaza Lesufi. That's 2-0. Then when it comes to the Bela Act, that's 3-0 because he was able to get the act that he supported. Remember, this act came through at a period of time when Panyaza was also the MEC for education in Gauteng, somebody who was directly facing this education issue, somebody who was directly confronting the schools which were excluding kids, and somebody who actually became a champion and custodian of the act, right? Obviously, this act is not Panyaza Lesufi's act. It's a product of the ANC subcommittee, right, on education, health, and some other thing. What's the name of that full subcommittee? I can't remember now, but it's a product of that subcommittee. There are many people who sit on that subcommittee. It had to get the support of the party. It came with also support of various provincial MECs for education. It's not his thing alone, but he's somebody who championed it, who defended it, who advocated for it, and who can claim proximity to it. So even though the president signed it, the people who are going to be claiming the victories are going to be the people who are fighting for it. It wasn't, Fikile Mbalula aggressively fighting for this thing in the various steps of the journey. From start to finish, one of the people who've been fighting for this legislation has been Panyaza Lesufi, and they view it as a precursor to the fight for national health insurance. So he can claim that victory. DA is now saying, no, we'll regulate the norms and the standards. A minister always regulates the norms and the standards. There's nothing new there. It's not a victory. They wanted to stop Bela. Bela is continuing, unaudited, unchanged, unadulterated. Not even a comma has been changed, right? So that's a victory. In 2023, when the ANC dropped, when other provinces had to do deals with the DA in order to remain in government, Panyaza Lesufi was able to give them 3 defeats, 3-0. I think that he's ahead. I think that he's ahead at the end of 2024. We'll see what happens next year, but as things stand, I don't think that Fikile Mbalula will have as much ammunition to be able to deal with Panyaza Lesufi. He may, when the local government elections happen, if the ANC doesn't grow in Gauteng, then maybe he'll have an argument, but it may be too late because the local government elections happen towards the end of 2026. The ANC will already be going into hyper election mode for 2027. So we'll see what happens, and Panyaza may be able to come up with explanations as to why they didn't perform well. I don't think they're going to perform well in local government because even though they're closing spaza shops and all of these issues, people don't have water. There's still load reduction in a lot of areas. Even though there's Nansi-Spani, people don't necessarily have jobs in the townships. And also, there are still many corruption stories that are being covered by the media, Daily Maverick, etc. And I think these guys in the media, they don't like Panyaza. So we're going to hear more and more of what he's done. By the way, he's not the only person with scandals within the ANC. We know presidents have money and so forth. We've heard about, even Fikile Mbalula's wife being accused of certain things, allegations. I don't know whether we can say that those allegations have firmed up into something concrete. But the idea that at the top of the ANC, there are some people who are squeaky clean or haven't had implications or connotations around them is not true. The media just chooses who they focus on at different periods in time. So even though there are allegations which face Panyaza Lesufi, I think that it can be said about all of the members of the ANC. I'm not saying that this justifies it. I'm just pointing out that no one can really come in and say, no, mina ngono, or I'm better than the other person within the confines of the party. As someone once said, everyone has smallanyana skeletons there. But I do think that the media will focus on Lesufi's scandals or anything that he's been accused of or anything that he's been implicated in, whether directly or indirectly. So what that will do is that it may diminish his support and popularity within Gauteng going to local government elections, and that could affect them, right? So I think that's still going to be something that happens. I don't think all of these things are going to change the trajectory. I think they'll be lucky to hold on to about 30% in the local government elections, in terms of 30% of the municipalities, not municipalities, but wards, etc. We'll see what happens. But that's your Christmas Day episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Till the next one. And the next one is going to be Mozambique. I think it's time that we speak about Mozambique and what's going on there. Till the next one, guys. Cheers.